It's time again. Boomer TV is back. I'm Paul Poteet.
I'm Julie Patterson.
The next chapter
is tonight, right now.
is tonight.
You found us, we're glad.
Today is the first day of the rest of your life. I think there used to be
You
a
know
first,
what's interesting?
yeah.
People who go through medical trauma and then they come back from it and they gain such insight. And we're going to meet one of those people tonight, Stacia Matthews, who suffered from a stroke. What are the signs? I don't know, but she's going to tell us so that maybe you can help a loved one if you notice that they're having
The
something.
great news is she can tell us.
Yeah,
she's doing fine now. Ed Wank is going to rewind, not a tape, but a 45 RPM kind of record.
Don't take this personally, Paul, but his segments are some of my favorite.
Oh,
He does such a great job.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Ed's going to talk about a band called 45 RPM. If you remember records, I think you'll follow the drift there.
How about some decorating tips from a professional interior designer? She is the best. Kern Palmer is her name. She's going to talk to us about the trends in 2018 and maybe what's coming up for 2019.
Do you deserve a second chance? There's a whole area of law now that has to do with second chances and maybe erasing things from your record.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That would change things up for so many people. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see this
They
piece.
told me in school it would stay on my permanent record. Maybe they weren't right, Julie.
How many times did you get paddled?
No, you don't want to know.
No, probably not.
We just need to start this, and Julie and I will go to the principal's office. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Boomer TV is made possible with support from
Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match a customer's specific needs and style. More information on Westport Homes' lifestyle collection, including community locations, at westport-home.com.
With over 70 years of combined legal experience, Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys serve clients throughout Central Indiana with wills, trust, and estates. More information is available at apwlawyer.com.
Unique Home Solutions, serving more than 30,000 homeowners since 1983. Providing home remodeling services from minor updates to complete renovations with a mission to improve appearance and efficiency. More at uniquehomesolutions.org.
All right, baby, we're going to go back to the British invasion. I'm going to put on my DJ voice.
Okay, that'll be so good.
We're going to get our stacks of wax for the racks
Oh
of the
my
back.
gosh, can you rap too?
Yeah, you know, once upon a time,
Right.
disc jockeys played discs.
RPM,
Yeah,
revolutions per minute?
yeah. You had your 45s and then your 33s. RPMs.
Look again. Ed Wank goes and checks out a band who does Beatles, Stones, that kind of music.
Yeah.
And it should be fun.
And they're called 45 RPM.
Check it out.
So why this specific era of music? Why did you guys pick this narrow range here of 1964 to 1967?
Because hands down, it is the greatest music of all times. It's music that we all grew up with. Several of us played in garage bands back in the 60s, and we've kind of taken this thing full circle at this point, be back playing the music that we played in our youth.
So how did you guys all connect? How did the five of you connect?
You know, there was no other bands playing 60s music. You know, we thought there'd be a niche. And actually, I put an ad out to see if there was anybody who wanted to play 60s music.
Okay.
And Jack said, I don't want to join the band, but we have a band, you know.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah, you want to come out and see us.
you want to come out and see us? We're playing like in a couple of weeks. So I went to see them and we just swapped
And
phone
then,
numbers
a couple months later, our guitar player quit, and I called up Richard, and he was a perfect fit.
So it's a specific sound. It's jangly. You know, do you get that using original equipment? Tell me about the amplification. Tell me about the effects pedals you use. How much is vintage? How much is new?
It's pretty much a mix, but yeah, you need to have that sound, and there's only certain instruments that can get that sound, or certain amps that can get that sound. So Doug has got his Ringo Starr Ludwig drums, and Jack's got his Paul McCartney Rickenbacker bass.
Right on.
and I'm playing through Vox type amps.
Of course, sure.
With Epiphones and Gretsch. I don't have my Gretsch tonight.
Old
but,
Fenders, though, I see over there.
No, you've got to have a Fender, yeah.
All right.
And Dino can get about anything he likes on his keyboard.
That's the advantage of contemporary keyboards.
Okay.
When they have horns or vocals or organ and piano, you can pull it all up. Absolutely. And hopefully we duplicate the sound. We work very diligently at doing that.
All right, music history time. You had Elvis joins the Army, Buddy Holly passes away. You have this explosion of surf music in the early 60s, and all of a sudden the British invasion happens. Why do you think this music got such a foothold in the United States specifically?
You better ask the Americans that
I would.
question.
That's a good question.
Well, I think rock music, after Elvis went into the Army, then the heads of the record companies tried to kind of tamp down rock music, kind of make it very white bread, if you will. So they went through a period there of 3 or 4 years where there just really wasn't much good coming out. The Beatles took a lot of different American influences, Motown, early rock and roll and so forth, kind of, made their own version of it, came back and brought it back to us. And of course, the country at that time, the Kennedy assassination had just happened when the Beatles hit the scene, and it was something new and fresh. And it was totally novel to have a band that wrote their own material and played all their own instruments in the studio as well. So.
Really interesting. All right, now what was the American reaction to this then? How did American bands respond to the British invasion at the time? Yeah, obviously the Beach Boys were gaining traction at that point, right?
Oh yeah, they were very big, and the Beach Boys and the Beatles really had quite a rivalry going between the two of them. But
I was playing in a band in Chicago at that point, and whenever a new Beatles song or a Stone song came out, I mean, by the end of the day, we were playing it because we were playing every day, and I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this band is that we were all playing this music. Richard maybe not, he's a little younger than us, but we were all playing this music back then.
Was he playing Nick Lowe and stuff, or what?
Elvis to Richard is Costello, not Presley. Okay, so.
And Dino's got some street cred. He played with Chuck Berry, a guy, right, the first wave of
yes,
rock and roll, right?
about 6 months in 1972. Wow. Giving away more than my age, well, less than my age, I guess. But that was a real fun time with many groups. It's a Beautiful Day. I can't remember some of the group names, but we all just hung out and played these outdoor stadiums. I did 6 with them. We played here in Indianapolis at the baseball field. That was our first one. And there's nothing like starting to play and 10, 12,000 people go, ah.
Who among you still has 45 singles at home in your collection? That's 100%. That's 100%. Guys, this has been a blast. I'm sorry I forgot my black vest, but
hey, you've got the button on.
I do have the button. I do have the 45 RPM button. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, big thrill for us.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you. For Boomer TV, this is 45 RPM, and I'm Ed Wank.
I don't know a whole lot about decorating trends. I'm not sure that I know a whole lot about decorating myself.
Well, if you look around some of the homes that we've been in,
Yeah.
you'll notice certain trends for 2018, like pops of color, texture. I didn't just know these things, Paul. Kern Palmer taught me everything. She's an interior designer, and she's going to show you in this segment what is hot.
Okay, let's watch.
Let me introduce you to Kern Palmer. Kern is with Kern Palmer Interior Designs. She's been doing interior design, specifically window treatments. That's our specialty for many years now. And we've got her here at our Westport home, and we're so excited that you're here to talk us through some of the latest trends.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julie, for having me. It's good to be here.
I love this mirror coming in.
You do too, don't you? The entryway, yes, so welcoming and inviting. As we're walking through the home, things that I noticed that are so on trend, the color on the walls. We're still doing a lot of neutrals with pops of colors.
I can see that here with the pillows.
Yes, the Celadon green and then the blue. Isn't that nice?
Great. So are pillows a nice way to accent an ordinary room?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kind of like the accessories. Like when you get dressed and you put your jewelry on, your accessories are on your tables, Your window treatments are considered accessories.
Makes sense.
Your pillows, bringing in nice textural look. And then we've got the beautiful textured table with the chairs.
Now,
Very
you
textural.
mentioned texture. Are we thinking about how something feels?
Well, yes, exactly, and then the way it looks. I mean, there are a lot of things that can be very dimensional where they're not so textural, but you see that dimension. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
But so that's how a lot of things are. Like, well, just like the quartz, it looks a little bit dimensional because you
see.
see the flex. Okay.
There you go.
So we don't want everything so smooth. And in kitchens, when you see all the straight lines a lot,
Yeah.
you see all the flat, it's always good to bring in that extra dimension. Okay. So like what's been
Backsplash.
done with the backsplash.
Yeah,
Isn't that
that's
gorgeous?
perfect. I agree.
And the wall colors are still very neutral with all those little pops of color.
And the same color on the walls kind of goes throughout. That sort of gives it a nice flow, would you say?
We normally, in design, we will use 3 to 5 paint colors or colors, and we carry them throughout the home.
Well, let's look at this little dining area. I can see, you mentioned texture. I see it in the chairs, on the table. You love that, don't you?
I do. I absolutely do. I love the textural look. The window treatments, I think they are gorgeous. We're doing so many stationary panels. The only other thing that we would need to do for someone living in the home would be to add some type of window treatment to make it more private.
Some privacy.
We also have
Yeah.
the office area. And again, the window treatments, I love the fabric, love the pattern. Very easy to look at, very easy to live with. Julie, here's the master bedroom and bathroom.
What size bed is that?
This is a king size.
Okay.
Isn't that smart?
Yeah.
And in here, we have a beautiful wainscoting around the room.
Oh, I
Isn't
didn't
that gorgeous? And that just brings another architectural element into the room. Okay? Where in here we had some crown molding, and here it's the wainscoting.
Oh, I didn't. You're right.
Yep.
Just mixing
Mix
it up.
Absolutely.
But still it flows.
Absolutely. That's what you want to do. And the colors also are still the same colors that we were working with out here. So
Same
still
palette.
a nice flow. And this is the second bedroom, Julie. One thing I really like is how they've brought the colors from the office into the front bedroom.
Yeah, it
The
really
bedroom,
goes
the guest
together.
room in the front of the house. And again, look at the nice textural look we have going on here. This is what I was sharing with you. Not so much textural, although it is a visual textural look, okay? But you don't really feel a texture. This kind of mimics the tile in the kitchen.
It does.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
There was a reason for that. The artwork, love what they did with this one wall.
Feature wall.
Feature wall, yes. And see how it flows down with the Euro pillows.
Picks that right up.
Yep.
Well, Kern Palmer of Kern Palmer Interior Designs, you certainly know what you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
I learned about texture. I learned about maybe picking 5 neutral colors that all blend and running those throughout the home.
Gonna work together.
We appreciate you kind of walking us through the latest in interior design.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I'm Julie Patterson with Boomer TV. I don't know about you, Paul, but I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I really do believe that.
Yeah, and sometimes people have things on their record
That might be bad.
an employer might see when they're going to hire you.
Yeah, and you might be blackballed because of that. Well, there is something called second chance law that you could have that basically expunged or taken out of your record.
How does this work? Interesting story here.
I agree with you. Let's find out.
Scott, could you share with us what is Indiana's second chance law?
Indiana's second chance law is a way for people to go into court and ask the court to expunge or seal maybe some of their convictions that they had in their youth that are preventing them from finding a different job or doing anything else that they would like to in life.
So who would be eligible to apply for the second chance law?
Anyone would be eligible. The question is, when are they eligible? And that all depends upon what they're asking the court to expunge or seal. For example, if somebody has an arrest and they were never convicted of a crime, but they're arrested for something, they can go back within a year after their arrest and ask that that be expunged or sealed so that nobody will be able to go back and look at those records and see that they are arrested for whatever the case may be. Now, if somebody's been convicted, then what they were convicted of depends on when they can go into court and ask to have that conviction expunged.
We're looking at misdemeanors, felonies.
We're looking at both. For example, for a misdemeanor offense, say an operating a vehicle while intoxicated, or perhaps some type of drug charge that they had in their youth, If it's a misdemeanor conviction, they can go back 5 years after the date of their conviction, and they can ask for an expungement. Now, the same thing would be true for other misdemeanors. As you get into the felonies, the period of time that a person has to wait gets a little longer, and also certain felonies would not be eligible for expungement.
Okay. Now, is there a statute of limitations on how far back you can go? Like, is it after 10 years after the conviction you can't apply, or is that open?
A person can go back and ask to expunge or seal as many arrests that have occurred in the past. There's no limitation on that opportunity. But a person only has one opportunity to go back and expunge a criminal conviction. And when they do that, they have to include all of their convictions that have occurred in the past. So that's really the only limitation, is that you only get one opportunity in your lifetime to file this petition if you're trying to expunge a conviction.
So just to clarify, when you have a record expunged, there's no record in the public domain?
Exactly. That's what's supposed to happen when you go in to get an order of expungement. When you get that order, the court is issuing an order to the clerk of the court, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the Indiana State Police, everyone, to say, hey, remove all the records pertaining to this individual's arrest or conviction. So that would mean if anybody was to do a criminal background check in the future, those arrests or those convictions would no longer appear. As a matter of fact, under the law, if you've been given, that is, if the court has issued an order of expungement and you're asked on a job application, have you ever been arrested, charged, or convicted of a crime, you are then allowed to say no to that question. And that expunged conviction can't be used to deprive you of any type of job or discriminate against you in any way. As if in fact that were to occur, that's actually a Class C infraction. So it's very beneficial to be able to get that order of expungement. It can help people with their job search.
What type of things would not be able to be expunged or sealed?
Well, a lot of the violent crimes, homicide, sex offenses, those types of convictions, they're not going to be eligible for expungement. But when we're talking about lower level felonies, less serious crimes, and misdemeanors, those will be eligible. Again, it all depends upon when you can file, and in some circumstances, you may have to go get the prosecutor's consent in order to pursue an expungement, but at least it's available to you.
Lots of great information there on that second chance law, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Kevin Kimbrough with Boomer TV.
So, Paul, many of us are familiar with the signs of a heart attack. We've heard about
Heart attack,
those.
the pain,
And it's different for men than women. Women might have back pain. So the signs of a stroke are very, very different indeed.
Yeah, they say sometimes it's just like you might not even know right away what's happening to
Or recognize it.
Yeah, or recognize it.
So we're going to talk about that tonight with Stacia Matthews. You may have heard the name. She's been in the news industry.
I may have worked with the name.
You did. So find out the signs of stroke and what happened to her.
We are here with Dr. Carboni and also Rachel, who is your physician's assistant.
That's right.
We're here to talk about strokes. It can happen to anyone, any age, right?
Any age, any time from a child all the way to an octarian, all the way to someone greater than 90 years old.
What are the risk factors?
Cholesterol, high cholesterol is a risk factor. Smoking is a risk factor. High blood pressure is a risk factor.
Well, we've come a long way. What are the things that you do as a doctor to help someone come back from a stroke?
So we try to reduce some of these risk factors that we're talking about. So we make sure that, we follow what the neurologist would like us to do. For example, after a stroke, people are typically on an aspirin a day. And that's a category of a drug that kind of thins your blood enough so that you won't have it. Would lower your risk of having another recurrent stroke. And we try to stress how important it is to follow these medications and don't let your medicines run out. Always get your refills. And if you're having problems with the financial burden of medicines, let your physicians know, because there's a lot of things that we can do. We also make sure that our patients are on a moderate to high intensity statin in order to help reduce the risk of having another stroke.
Let's talk with Rachel about the signs of a stroke. I'm not sure people are familiar with what those signs are.
Yes, so the easiest way to remember signs of stroke is the acronym FAST. What that stands for is the F is facial droop, the other one is arm weakness or leg, the S stands for speech difficulties or slurred speech, and then the last one is T is time. How important time is to actually call 911 if you're having these symptoms. Go to the hospital, get to an ER, don't go to bed. You need to be seen by a medical professional right away.
Is there a window of time where it's just too late?
I wouldn't say too late, but there is a window of time when there are certain medications that can be given that could alter your recovery. And usually that window is about 3 hours, depending on the type of stroke you have.
Okay, fast. So I know you treated Stacia Matthews. Tell me about that particular situation.
Stacia had the bleeding type of stroke, which for her presented as a very weird headache. For others, it can be a very severe headache. When Stacia came to us, she was physically doing pretty well for herself. A lot of her issues were with her vision and her awareness of what had happened to her, her memory, her ability to problem solve and do complex thinking skills, things like that. So we really focused on that with Stacia while she was here because she was a very independent woman before and we wanted to get her back to that.
So for a 1 month period of time
I did
in
not
your life,
know. I have no recollection
no
of
recollection. Your sister told you what happened?
it. Yes.
Okay.
And she told me I had a hemorrhagic stroke.
Your sister, what'd she do when obviously you started
I mentioned that I had
that weird headache?
I said, man, this is just the strangest headache. And she told me, as many people do, take an aspirin, go to bed. I'm glad I didn't do that.
What did you do? I know you don't remember.
She told me I woke her up and said, I need you to do me a favor. Please don't let me put my head down. Don't let me fall asleep. Watch for slurred speech. Call an ambulance. I think I'm having a stroke.
If you were to tell our audience something about this journey, what would you like to say?
Know the signs. Know the signs. The doctors mention those signs. Know what they are. If you see someone acting strangely, maybe unable to put a fork in a plate or trying to reach for a glass and they're unable to reach it, that could be a stroke. You don't know. Do it anyway.
Pay attention.
Better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, absolutely. But know your signs. Know what a stroke is. Know the signs and react. Do not put it off to say, I'll just take a nap and I'll sleep this through. No.
Because it'll save your life.
It could
Saved
save your
yours.
life. It saved mine. Absolutely.
We are here with Stacia Matthews. I'm Julie Patterson for Boomer TV.
The sun has set.
That's so beautiful.
Have I.
Are there going to be a bunch of little kids that walk out into our living room soon? And do I need to have
What? A singing voice? Yes, that would be required if you were a Von Trapp. This is a completely different show, Boomer TV, and we got to say goodnight.
Oh,
Can you say it in a different language?
Hills are alive.
Can you say goodnight in any? Oh, I can think of one. Au revoir. No, that wasn't even good. Au
Wiedersehen,
revoir.
adieu, 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 to you and you and you.
And you too. Good night.
Good night.
Oh man.
For more all things Boomer, just visit our website. That's indieboomer.com. Indie Boomer connects TV, magazine, and radio. It contains useful information for baby boomers all over the Indianapolis metropolitan area. And you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Pick up Indie Boomer magazine at most Kroger stores and libraries. Look for us all over Indy.
Listen to Boomer Radio every Saturday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. on Freedom 95 with a rebroadcast Sundays at 7:30. Indie Boomer, for the next chapter of your life.
Boomer TV is made possible with support from
Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match a customer's specific needs and style. More information on Westport Homes' lifestyle collection, including community locations, at westport-home.com.
With over 70 years of combined legal experience, Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys serve clients throughout central Indiana with wills, trust, and estates. More information is available at apwlawyer.com.
Unique Home Solutions, serving more than 30,000 homeowners since 1983. Providing home remodeling services from minor updates to complete renovations with a mission to improve appearance and efficiency. More at uniquehomesolutions.org.